Good morning and welcome to your Partner in Success Radio. I'm your host, Denise Griffitts, and today we're diving into a topic that many families avoid talking about until it's too late, and that topic is long-term care planning. My guests today are brothers Jeremiah and Jonah Dew, known as the Banking Bros, and they help families rethink how they manage and protect their money using what's known as the infinite banking concept. Their work focuses on helping families build financial systems that keep wealth, control, that's important, and decision-making within the family. And before we go any further, I want to thank our sponsor. And today's episode is brought to you by Damon Limby. He is the CEO of Learnit. Learnit partners with organizations to help their teams improve leadership, communication, and critical business skills. And their programs are designed to create workspaces where people can grow and companies can succeed. To learn more about Damon Lemby, and his last name is spelled Lembi, and the training programs available through Learnit, visit learnit.com. Now back to my guests, Jeremiah and Jonah. Welcome to your Partner in Success Radio. I'm so glad to have you here. But before we jump into our conversation, which is about long-term care planning, I would love for you to introduce yourselves to our audience. Now, I know that Jonah, Dew has been here, but Jeremiah has not. So please tell us who you are and what you do.
You're right. We have been here before, and sometimes it gets confusing. So, Denise, thank you so much for having us back. So this is Dew or Jeremiah. I'm the one.
Jeremiah, I'm sorry, and I caught that right after I
Don't worry,
said
my mom
it.
has never gotten it right either,
Oh, listen, I'm the
So,
oldest of a bunch of kids, Denise, Diane, Debbie. My mom would say, Denise, Diane, damn it, you know your name. Apparently we don't. So I'm sorry.
all good. Yeah. So my brother gets to join us this time for this great conversation and how we help families with guaranteed lifetime income. But I've been here before. Jonah, why don't you say a little something?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited. You know what? I got to apologize to all the listeners out there. I absolutely missed the first podcast episode, the first recording, but I'm here this time, and we've got a really cool topic to talk about today, which is, as Denise previewed, it's long-term care. And so the thing about long-term care is that it's really misunderstood. And so hopefully by listening to this episode, not only will you kind of have a better understanding of what's going on, but then you'll have action steps in order that you can take if you want to accomplish something, if you want to take care of something, if you want to be more prepared for the future. So I'm excited to be here. Again, I'm Jonah. We live in Greenville, South Carolina. We've been here for a long, long time. Right now, at the time of this recording, there's a lot of basketball being played because it's the end of the season here. And so if you're a basketball fan, I guess it's go Blue Devils, go Duke Blue Devils for me. So that's a little bit about me. That's what I enjoy, and I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you both here. The last time you were here, and I remember that you couldn't make it, and I said, well, that's okay. I got one of them. We're good. And off we went. But it was a fascinating conversation. So what is it that you want us to know about long-term planning? Because all across the board, really, because so many of us, we just think, oh, Medicare will take care of it. I'll get to it. And then you're thinking, oh, crud.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And here's what we all need to understand. We've been making money, being able to make more money. So how do we protect it and how do we keep it? So let me take you back. Denise, when I was 20 years old, a buddy called me. I was getting out of college in my last year or so. And he said, hey, they need a receptionist down at the assisted living facility around the corner from college there. And maybe you can answer the phone, man. I can't work all the days. So some Saturdays, some Sundays, we'll just switch off. And it was about a 55-bed assisted living facility. It was a private facility. At this time, I'm 20 years old, and this is for super crazy old people, right? These are the decrepits. These are the folks who were born in the 1800s, for all I'm thinking at this point. And that 2-year stint of working at the assisted living facility completely changed my life and perspective. This was a very nice facility, like I mentioned, private. And there were people in there who were going to be living there for 20 years. And this is what was crazy, Denise. When I took a look at how much it cost to have a private or semi-private, a 2-person room in this nice facility, this old folks home, as I would have called it at the time, I could not believe the numbers. It was $5,500 a month. to
It's
be.
more than a mortgage for most people.
Some people had been there a long time. Some people were still going to be there a long time. Their health was actually good, but they were not working anymore. So if they did not have the cash flow, they did not have the community around them, they did not have the church, they were maybe in this facility for a very long time. And I could not even fathom that it was over 60 grand per year to have a decent experience, 3 meals a day, have someone like me to push you up and down the hallway on the weekends, turn on the popcorn machine, and play the Clark Gable movies on the weekend. And I thought, wow, I hope I die early. Denise, I'm honest. That's really what I thought. I hope I die early because I don't
Well,
think
at
I'd want
that
to do this. And this is a
age,
nice place in town, the nicest place in town.
right, at
So
that age, you would think
here's
like
what we're here
that.
to understand and uncover for most people. If, let's say, you're going to have a nice round number and a great retirement party at your office at 65, most families out there who are actually married at 65, a couple, they're actually going to live to beyond 85. If you make it that far and you're married, apparently you're going to live beyond 85. But now healthcare costs are prohibitive for everything. And they're really wearing people down in their wallets. And you have to spend down for Medicare, Medicaid, all these types of things. You have to be poor. And I don't think that's the goal. We get to our desirement years in retirement, right? Let's travel a little bit. Let's go visit the grandkids. Wait. The healthcare costs are astronomical. And we've got to do something about it.
I agree with you. Listen, can you guys hear me? My mic keeps cutting out. I guess not. Dang it. Um, if you can hear me at all, I think we're going to have to reschedule this because all of a sudden I can hear you just fine, but apparently you can't hear me.
We are back. We can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
I am going to yell at Zoom again this week. I don't know what's going on, but I'm so sorry. This has been a problem for a couple of weeks now. I don't know if I need a new microphone or I just need to calm down. I don't know what it is. But I agree. And you were talking about the old folks' home, and I used to call them adult warehousing. And then, like you, I started spending time around some of my older family, my grandma, and some other people. It was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying. And you're right. The cost, and it didn't matter, how high class it was supposed to be, or if it was just somebody to put, grandma while she's in dementia. The cost was just insane, and it wasn't for the person who was living there, it's for everybody. So how do we help those people?
Yeah. Well, that's a great point. So Jonah will get into the numbers here in just a second, but that's what I realized. It's like if you didn't have the cash flow, we're pretty illiterated around here at the cash compound. And if you did not have the cash flow, you better have the community, the church, or charity because, yeah, someone has to pay for this bill. And sometimes it's one person in the family relationship, the matriarch or the patriarch. Sometimes it's both. And these facilities, I live in South Carolina. And so, Denise, at the northwest corner of the southeastern state down here, this is not the highest cost of living at all. And this was a private facility, and it was really nice. And I thought to myself, this is terrible. I just wouldn't want to live like this if I didn't have to. So, what do we do to help people understand? Number one, we have to realize that the future is coming. Let's begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey said it well. And realize if you want to die around your family members in a very comfortable situation with lots of money and lots of great food, and that Thanksgiving dinner, you just pass away afterward, you just got to plan for this stuff, you know? So there were people in this facility who obviously were not at the bottom of the totem pole when it came to economics, but it was still so tough to watch. And what I did not know at that time, but it helped prep me for where we are today here at the Cash Compound. The banking bros are helping people pay for inevitable, in most cases, long-term care and healthcare costs, maybe just to cook, maybe just someone to lift you up out of your bed and move you from one place to another to make sure you can shower and you can shave and you can get to where you want to go. These costs are crazy. And according to the statistics, Denise, 91% of all married couples will have at least one person out of their two that will need long-term care money over the course of about 2 to 2.5 years. Long-term care is not highly understood or even highly sought out at this point. But the baby boomers are aging out and the silver tsunami is coming. 2.5-ish years of long-term care needs are needed, and it's 91% of the time between couples. So Jonah's got some of the numbers here, and maybe you can help us out, Jonah, with how much does care cost? This was 2002, so this is a long time ago.
Sure. I think one of the things for me, just because I'm a tad younger, and I hear some of these statistics, and I think to myself, man, the statistics don't sound that good. Sounds like we're going to need it, but how much are we actually talking about? Can I make the money? Can I pay for this out of pocket? Well, like Denise said, can I use Medicare or Medicaid, whichever one it is? And when I saw the numbers, I started to realize this does not seem possible. I better prepare for this early. So there's a lot of different ways that you can have a little bit of a care in your older age, or maybe because of an injury or something like that. So there's you can do adult daycare, right? A day thing. You can do assisted living facilities. You can do at home, maybe like a home health aide. I know a lot of people out there who are saying, I don't want to leave the house when I get older. You could do nursing home care, which is like a semi-private experience, or you could do like a private experience, a private room and nursing home care. But listen to some of these numbers. In 2024, so this is just a few years ago, the last time we went and did the calculation, and actually the calculation was done in 25, but it was, of course, 24's numbers. Adult day healthcare costs around average $26,000 a year. That's about $2,000 and some change every single month. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It just goes up from here. That's the worst part. Assisting living facilities are going to run you about $70,000 a year, right? That's about $5,900 every single month. If you want to stay home, you got to tack on another $7,000. That's a total of about $77,000 every single year, about $6,400 a month. If you want a semi-private room at a nursing home, about $111,000 a year. That's $9,200 a month. And of course, if you want to be in a nursing home in a private room, it's about $127,000 a year. And that's about $10,600 a month. So here's the question that I kind of pose to people who are thinking about this, want to prep and prepare for this, is if you need long-term care services, you or your spouse, which Jeremiah, you're saying is about 91%. That's what the statistics say.
Right.
Which means that you or your spouse is probably no longer working if you need the care.
Right.
So maybe you're losing income, maybe not. And then you need to go into a nursing home, or maybe your spouse says, like the independent spouses and people that we are, we're going to say, no, I'm staying at home, right? Just have somebody come over and help me at home. You need an extra $6,400 every single month to pay for that, on top of maybe the emotional damage or toil that you're going through because your spouse needs this care, on top of maybe the loss of income, on top of maybe the extra hours that you now need to be home or pay attention to, or some of the other expenses that you have or had and now you need to take care of. And that's what I was saying is this doesn't seem possible to be able to.
Who can do this?
Yeah, who's got
my
that?
Goodness, right?
And they say, okay, so let's pretend that maybe you do have it. It's sitting in an account, in some investment account or some retirement plan that you had, and you had that money. Are you
Or your
really,
children's inheritance that they're never going to see?
Are you really trying to spend down $100,000 of it?
I know.
Because of that incident, and you're going to need this care for a year or 2 years or 3 years, and you just lost $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 of what you had tucked away. No way. We should prepare for this ahead of time. There's something that I talk about pretty often. Sometimes when we get to talk to people or on our podcast or whatever, it's this thing called the Eisenhower matrix. So Denise, I'm not sure if you've heard of this.
I have. We talked about it last time.
I love it. Okay, so it's this. It's like if you were on a piece of paper, you draw a line straight down and then another. You make a cross. Okay, and so there's 4 squares, 4 quadrants. And on the left side, you put important at the top for the top 2 squares and not important at the bottom 2 squares. And then directly above the left 2 squares, you put urgent. And then above the right 2 squares, you put not urgent. And here's the idea. Insurance falls in the important, so that's the top, but not urgent on the right. Important but not urgent quadrant. And the Eisenhower matrix, the whole idea is you need to live your life as best as you can in the important but not urgent quadrant. Because if you don't, things become important and urgent, and that means you're not prepared for them. They take all of your focus. You cannot even mess with things that are not important but urgent, or not important and not urgent, things that you want. You can't do any of it because you have to focus on what's important and what's urgent because you did not prepare ahead of time. And so we always tell people all insurances almost now are going to fall in this important but not urgent quadrant. And long-term care insurance is one of the most important ones because the numbers and the statistics say that you need this. You just don't need it right now. So you've got to take care of it early so you don't run into these problems later.
And I wanted to ask you about that because we're not necessarily talking about the elderly. We're talking about everybody. And my brother comes to mind. He had a double lung transplant some years ago, and he passed away a few years ago, but he lived an extra 8 years.
Yep.
And money was a problem.
Oh,
Obviously, it was. And he told me one time he thought he was really the actual $6 million man, which he was kind of joking, but I don't think he really was. But he never did go into anything. He stayed at home, but that last year was rough.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that. So many families are going through that. And it is really tough to understand. Yeah, it's not necessarily like you mentioned, just the elderly, right? We got Lee Majors and your brother out there trying to do his thing. So Jonah's too young to know those references.
I did not get that one.
Yes.
Bionic Woman and the what was it? The $1 million billion? What were
And the Bionic
Yeah,
Woman.
yeah. That's
So,
it.
yeah. So what you were making a great point, Denise. The activities of daily living, there are 6 of them, are what qualifies you for long-term care support. And when we are able to qualify for long-term care support, which does not have an age on it. Now, as we age, things normally start to slow down a bit. And that's why we think of this as an elderly thing. But more and more people are discovering, look, this is not just about age. If we cannot perform the 6 activities of daily living, our quality of life really starts to drop. Now, long-term care specifically kicks in when 2 of these activities of daily living are no longer able to be done by you, or there's some sort of impairment with your cognitive abilities as well. So those 6 things are eating. So think of it as like the first hour of your day, everybody. So if you're thinking right now, you're walking, talking on the treadmill, you're driving, eating, dressing yourself, bathing, transferring. Now, moving from the bed to the bathroom or to the kitchen, toileting, or continence. Okay, so you can't get in off the toilet, or things are not going too well when you're on your way to the toilet. Those 6 things right there. These are very personal things, Denise. Yep. These are the things that you just, this is dignity stuff, right? If 2
Absolutely.
of those things cannot be performed by you anymore, or there's cognitive impairment. So that is going to include things like dementia and Alzheimer's, right? That's when you'd qualify for activities of daily living. And then the insurance kicks in. There's a couple ways to do it. We'll get into some of that as necessary, but most of us understand that at this point, our benefit can kick in. And if it doesn't, we are spending down those nest egg dollars. And if we're spending down those nest egg dollars, Denise, let's be reminded that the average family out there is counting on those dollars in retirement, but they are taxable dollars. So if we have to pull those dollars out of those retirement plans, we're being taxed on them as well. It is lowering our nest egg ability if that's what we chose. Now, here we teach, of course, the save and spend system. So we're utilizing insurance for this in a much different way, and there's no taxes there. But if we're paying down, we're pulling down our reserves. We are also, our reserves are in the market, right? If they're market-based things, then we may have a bad year there. And if you like Trump, then they're down. And if you hate Biden, then they're down. Who knows, We don't control that stuff. So this is where long-term care kicks in. And of course, long-term care can go on to a couple, right? Long-term, second to die. And it can pay out for indefinite periods of time, depending on what riders that we might help people understand and put on it. And this just changes the game for people who may have instances, or they may have a lifetime of care. See, Denise, not everybody also needs it for life. They may have a recovery period from an injury or illness. They may be back at work or back at volunteering at church in just another year or 2 years. But what about that gap? What about that gap?
I didn't even think about that. And while we're talking about, you know, things that happen that you're just never going to recover from, when I was younger, my sister's brother-in-law was in a terrible car accident. 5 people died. And they should, honestly, I'm just gonna say it, they should have pulled the plug before he started breathing again, but they didn't.
Mm.
And he just passed away about a year ago. He was in a facility for about 20 years.
20 years. See,
Yeah.
that is
Shouldn't
wild.
have happened. Honestly, it shouldn't have happened.
Jonah, you got some stats on that for like some of the longest claims ever? Mostly, like we said, there's about 2 to 3 years, somewhere in there is the average claim. That doesn't mean that they passed at the end of it. They may have recovered, they no longer qualify, and we're back up and at them, and we can go to the bathroom by ourselves. But there have been some very long claims.
Yeah, one of the thing that I get a lot of enjoyment on is some of the numbers. That's why I kind of went through costs earlier. And so we actually found we kind of went and tried to pull some of the reporting for how long have people had to use this before, and what are some of the largest claims or longest claims? Because again, they're saying the average is about 2.5 years. People are recovering or only needing it for a short time, which is amazing. But then you think about people with cognitive disabilities and you go, they've had some times where they've had to use this for a while. So you just mentioned 20 years. I'm actually looking at some numbers where a 19-year claim in a couple months actually cost over $2 million in charges, right? From the nursing home, from the
Care facility
care
or maybe
facility.
home health.
Right.
So that's the longest uh, long-term care claim that's ever been recorded. Long-term care specifically, 19 years, 3 months. Now, Denise, before Jonah moves on to the second one, we're going to quiz you on this one. Was it a male recipient or a female recipient?
Male.
It was. It was male.
Mhm.
Very good. Now, most people assume, and this is right statistically, women live longer, right? Women live longer than men, but the longest claim for a long-term care policy ever was actually male. Jonah, what about the ladies?
Yeah, I think one of the longest for the ladies has actually been 18 years, 18 years and a few months. And it looks like that was about $1.3 million. $1.3 million is how much that costs. So again, what we're trying to implore to you on this podcast episode is get in front of it, right? Purchase, if you can, purchase the coverage, purchase the insurance that allows you to have freedom of mind, freedom of your finances, where you can have an insurance company pay for some of this stuff and you don't have to. We talked about the longest stuff. Jeremiah talked about the average a little earlier. They're actually, even if you break it down a little more on those averages, it says that men are going to average about 2 years and some change, 2 years and a few months of claims. Women actually averaged about 3 years and 7 months. And then if you go cognitive even, you can kind of break it down by what happened. But Alzheimer's, that's normally about 8 years worth of
Claim time.
claim
Yeah.
time.
Is it really?
It is.
Oh, I had
And
no
so-
idea.
Yeah, it's just really when it comes down to it, for me looking at something like this as a younger person, I am 33 years old right now as we record this podcast. When I look at this, I go, no way in the world would I want to come out of pocket with a few 100,000 or maybe up to $1 million, depending on what happens. This is without talking about inflation. Do I really think that the cost is still going to be those numbers we talked about earlier in this episode 10 years from now or 20 years from now?
No.
Well, the way
Can't
you drive,
possibly
Jonah, I
be.
think you might go into a cognitive decline
no
with
way.
a car accident anytime.
No
So
way. I'm
not paying
I'm driving
for it.
safe, but
I'm not paying for it. Or
but
wiping
Now
your butt.
children.
It's been a long time. I haven't wiped his butt. He wiped his butt since 95. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going back, Denise. Not going back.
all I'm
Can't
saying
say I blame you.
as I look at it, I'm going, no way do I want to be financially responsible for this. And so what I need to do is make sure that I understand the numbers, the statistics, and what's going on out there, right? I don't want to purchase the insurance if I'm never going to use it. I'm never going to need it. But the numbers and the statistics say that I will need it. At 91% Either if I'm married, me or my spouse is going to need this. And if I do need it, I'm not coming out of pocket for that. I want to prepare for that early. I want to buy it while it's as inexpensive as it can get. And if you know anything about insurance and age, that means now. The best
It
time to buy it
does.
is now. And the worst time and the time that you can't get it is the day after you need it.
You
And
need it. And let's talk about single people because, my observation, I don't have any data to prove or disprove this, but my observation is largely after women get divorced the first or second time, they're done. They're not going back, and I call it the trap. They're not going back in there. So they should really be looking at this for themselves as well, should they not?
Wonderful point. Yes, very much so. Remember, if you're not able to pay it for yourself, you have to pay down your assets to get government care. You have to pay down your assets. And of course, we're talking about government style facilities. Is that really where you want to be? The silver
No, God, no.
on us, right? There's 10,000 baby boomers retiring for another 16 or so years. The oldest boomers just turned 80 this year in 2025, 26. And the question is who is supposed to pay for it? Where are you supposed to live? Now, I've been to the government buildings in my town. I had to go to the DMV and renew my license. I've been to the post office. Look, I don't want the government having to take care of me, right? That's not where I want to be. So if I am single, if I am uh, far away from my children, if I am not close, I don't want to, my children can't care for me, don't want to, or I don't want them, right, to care for me. And I do want to play pickleball with my buddies, at the facility at the nice places that are popping up for all of these great boomers. Someone's got to pay for it. You're exactly right. So how we get ahead of this is we purchase the ability. It's called a premium. We pay a premium for someone else to handle the risk. And they may handle that for as long as we may live, no matter how long we live. That sounds like a great plan for most people. And remember, when the income comes in from the claims, it is not taxable. So you don't have to spend down your own money. So I know there are people out there, maybe the Dave Ramsey types, the pay cash people, maybe like, hey, it won't happen to me. The statistics say it will. But if you have to use your own money to do it, it is going to be income if you take it out of qualified plans, and it's going to be depleting because you're going to be spending it. So if I can use someone else's dollar to take care of me and mine, I think I might need to look at it.
I think we all do. Listen, and I know when we're younger, we're so, arrogant. I'm going to be good. I'm good I'll die at 100, which is my plan, by the way. I fully intend to pass away in my sleep at 100, plotting world domination. Why not? But, it's just, and I think in decade increments, a decade is only 10 years. When you're 10, 20, you're young, you're arrogant, you're strong, you're good. Then you hit around 30, 40, and you're starting to go, my back hurts.
Sure.
Now what? And you get a little bit older, and it's only 10 years between these things. And you're like, well, holy crap. Now what?
Mhm. Yeah, it's such a big thing that we need to talk about. And I'm 42 at this point, 4 children. The oldest one is 11. But I started to realize, my back. I need a seat warmer, even when it's hot outside, in this car. Like
I've
what's going
done
on
that.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why is my trick knee over here? Oh, it's raining later.
Right.
Even rain dance, just walking up and down stairs. Why am I wobbly? And yeah, we've got to get in front of this. And like Jonah said, the cost of insurance rises as the risk goes up. So as I age, as things become more expensive, healthcare costs have been rising like crazy. Yes, we got healthcare costs, we got tuition, and we got housing. These things are astronomically expensive. So getting in front of it now and understanding, look, you can actually buy more than one policy.
yeah, you can.
So let's
Oh, I
say that I
didn't know
wanted to benefit.
that.
Yes, Denise, let's say you want to benefit right now that you can afford to pay for. And that benefit might be $2,500 a month. So $2,500 a month is not going to cover your assisted living costs. We already went over that. But you can buy a policy now because the premium to get $2,500 a month, maybe for the rest of your life, is affordable to you. Well, next year, the sponsors come in for the show, right? Your Success podcast, boom, it's blowing up. People are buying t-shirts and koozies and going on the cruise with you and I, right? To learn all these great things. And so there's more income. Next year, you say, you know what? I have more money. I'd like to buy another policy. So now we have two. We've stacked it on. So that one will cover 2,500 per month. The next one covers 5,000. You bought a bigger policy. It has a bigger benefit on it. You can stack them. And so there are very savvy people who are understanding, I don't want to spend down my assets, my real estate, my cash flows, my infinite banking system. I don't want to spend those down. So I will stack policies every few years as we get closer to possibly needing it. And those policies in total can take care of my needs.
Well, you both talk about keeping wealth inside the family, which is important. So I guess my question is, how does long-term care planning help protect not just the individual, but also future generations, including those who are helping you pay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to jump in on this one. So here's actually one of the pieces that is, man, if anything, if you're paying attention to anything we're saying today, this one might stick with you the most. There's actually a really significant impact on your family if you do not take care of your long-term care. They're actually calling your children. So it's the generation right now that's taking care of mom and dad, but they still have kids in their house, whether they're elementary age, high school age, college age. They're calling that generation of people the sandwich generation because we
Heard
got mom
that.
and
What does
dad who
that
are
mean?
got
Okay. I
yeah, we
was
got
going to
mom
say,
and
what does that
dad
mean? But go ahead.
we got mom and dad who are still alive, and we got to pay attention to them or take care of them or build onto the house so they can live with us. And then we've got our own kids that are still growing up or still need our support. Again, elementary age, high school age, college age kids. So these people are sandwiched right in the middle, right? And they're actually saying that if you have to take care and have some sort of your parents who have some sort of physical disability or cognitive disability, they're actually saying that the stress from having to take care of your parents is actually making the mortality rate on the sandwich generation happen faster than the parents who needed the care in the first place. They're
That makes
saying that
sense.
you're actually passing away before the parents. It's too stressful. There's emotional impact, there's physical impact, there's financial impact. And then of course you've got to think about the tension just of between like you and your siblings. Let's pretend that you've got a brother or sister or more than one, but mom and dad or just mom or whoever lives with you, right? Well, now I've got tension. I can't do the things that I normally want to do. Where are you at, brother or sister? Why aren't you over here? Can you come and watch? I want to be able to go to the soccer game, the basketball game. It's our annual vacation.
Week on, week off
Right.
over here. I need to divorce mom and send her back over to your house. You see, Denise, these are and I know you've got listeners out there. We'd love some feedback, for this podcast. We know that the average family is going through stuff like this because their nuances are so particular. Let me tell you another one about the sandwich generation. When I worked at the old folks' home in Greenville, South Carolina, and this was assisted living, private, like I mentioned, 20 years ago, $5,900. I was way more than I could fathom. They paid me $10 an hour to answer the phone and push people around and turn on the movies. But there was a Mr. Kenneth. I don't remember his last name, but Kenneth Sr. and Kenneth Jr. Kenneth Sr. was inside the facility. Kenneth Sr. was a man who was not in a wheelchair. This man was mobile and he was up and getting around. I pushed him around sometimes, but he kind of had a walker. He had a way to do it. He was 101. His son would come by all the time. Very smart, cognitively strong guy, a big dude, way bigger than I was, much head and shoulders taller. But he said, here's the problem, man. I think my dad might outlive me because he was 78. And he was like, my dad might outlive. So his dad is 21, 22 years older than him.
Yep.
He's like, if he outlives me, we're in trouble because my kids, my grandkids don't live close and don't care.
Yeah.
Oh,
You see how that is so interesting? Because I'm like, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, this is normal. See, how many of you out there listening right there realize, you know what? If mom gets in trouble, we've figured this out in our family. If mom has a situation in our family, we know which of her daughters has there's 6 of us total. I'm the oldest like you, Denise. We know which daughter has the best relationship. We know which son has the best relationship with mom. It's Jonah, right? And so we're realizing, in the event that mom needs to come on back, move on home or move on in, that's a balance and shift in responsibility for people. So, isn't long-term care and planning ahead and conversations, financial family reunions around Thanksgiving and Christmas, aren't they very important to decide now, just
They
before it happens?
are.
Hey, mom, what do
They
you want to
really
do
are.
in the event that it happens? We're not saying that it happens. We're glad you're here. Everyone's cognitively aware. Everybody's here. We're opening presents or we're having turkey and stuffing. But since you're 63, 65, 70 now, we kind of want to know, what should we do? Because mom, dad, whatever you decide is correct and is right. We were going to honor that. That's why we're here to have the conversation. But we just need to know so we can
A
all be on the same page before it actually goes down.
and, a little bit off topic, but America is known for spending billions with a B dollars on their pets. I'm one of them. I've got cats. I've got a dog. And I live alone deliberately, and I'll be honest with you, I worry more about what's going to happen to them than I do anything else.
Now, Denise, if you are living alone with cats and dogs, I'm worried about you. What's wrong with? Why are you doing this? You don't have to live like that. Come on over. We having
I've been married. I
good.
hated it.
Okay,
I
we
hated
watching
it.
Netflix tonight. Come on through. Um, so yes, but you're exactly right. Right.
But that should
So
be
these
part of the conversation too. It's like, what's gonna
100,
happen to Hannah? Or,
100.
I had my 21-year-old cat died last week. Honestly, I wouldn't travel or go anywhere because she needed insulin.
Yeah. Right.
These, they're family, so that
Of course.
that needs to be discussed as well, I think.
Of course it does. Yeah, these things are conversations that so many people here. The first, all progress starts with telling the truth. All progress starts with telling the truth. And some people are avoiding these conversations. And I've learned this recently because they are trying to avoid an emotion. You're avoiding things you should do because you don't know how to handle the emotion that comes with it. So the reason that you do not work out or go to the gym and get physical, take a walk around the park is not because you don't understand that it's helpful and healthful for you to do so. It's because you don't like the emotion that comes with it. The reason you avoid that conversation with your spouse or your neighbors is because of the emotion that comes with it. And if we learn that emotions are not bad, they are good for us. They are triggers to help us understand what's important. We learn how to deal with those emotions. We can have these conversations with our family about our money, our health, our pets, and things
And
will
when
be a
you're
lot better in the future.
absolutely, and when you're talking about emotions, I'm guessing maybe the top 2 are fear and grief.
Oh, those are strong, right? Our emotions really drive and control us, right? That's why at the beginning it's so hard, but you never tell someone who runs every day, wow, you are so motivated every day. No, 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 no. I don't have to be motivated anymore. It's a condition that I have. Wow, you're so disciplined. Well, you don't call it discipline anymore. It was discipline in the beginning, but I've learned how to handle the emotion. I like how I feel afterward. So I go out and do it. And it's a part of my routine at this point, right? You don't tell me, wow, you're so disciplined, J. You brush your teeth every day. Well, I mean, you may have told me that when I was 3 and mom told me to do it at the beginning, but now it's just a part of the plan. I know it's good for me. I do it. And sometimes I don't want to, but it's a part of it. So we practice those habits and get into those conversations with family. So when the hard times come, we're prepared for it. See, the difference between us over here and the banking bros and what we teach and preach in the save and spend system, how to save your money and spend someone else's on healthcare, is we teach people how to have that conversation now. The thing is, we know we're going to get old. We know we're going to die. So I have peace with that statement. It's actually a positive statement. I know something. I plan for it. Positive. The word death may seem negative to you, but it's positive to me because we have a plan and we've talked
You
about
have
it.
a plan,
Yeah. So I
right.
go, well, I'm not scared anymore because I got a plan. I know
Well,
I'm
and
getting
we
old. I
cannot
know I have
avoid
to.
it.
So,
I
yeah.
know people say, "Oh, it's a long time down the road." I know people who left to go to work and didn't come home. So you don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so much impact that you have on other people. We think it's an act of potential. Let me give you an enemy here. We think you might be selfish out there, ladies and gentlemen. I might have been selfish had I known this information and I chose not to do anything about it. Because now the burden is on my community, my church, and my charities to do the work for me. I was selfish. So avoiding some of these emotions, avoiding the planning, and avoiding a brief conversation with us. That's what we do. We give coaching around here. We have free calls and consultations about this. And we walk and talk through this so you can make the decision. It's not a hard thing for us to try to help you be educated. It's just you dealing with those emotions. It's not a hard sell because we think we have to convince you to buy this, that, or the third. You get to decide these things. We think you should spend some time thinking about it and have some good guidance with a knowledgeable professional.
Exactly. I want to ask you guys, do you find that business owners and entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, as I am, approach long-term care planning differently than people with traditional jobs?
Yes, we have basically noticed over the course of 8 years here as the banking bros and the cash compound helping people with their finances and helping them crack the code to cash flow. That's one of our trigger names here in mottos. Cracking the code to cash flow is that people who have taken it upon themselves to influence how things are going to go in their life for their future. Business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs actually spend more time thinking about the realities than people who have abdicated some of their thinking or responsibility to their W-2 employers. Yes.
Gotcha. And I think I already know this, but what are some warning signs that a family just has not planned properly for long-term care, either for themselves or their elderly parents or their cat? You know, what are some warning signs that you all of a sudden look at them and think, I'm seeing flashing signs over your head?
Sure. And believe it or not, the flashing warning signs are actually not particular to long-term care. They don't have to be. The flashing warning signs are actually in the foundational, like financial, in your family's foundational financial statement. I got all the F's in there. Hope you like that. Here's what I mean. If you, every time that there's an emergency, every time that the car needs tires on it, are jumping into the credit card to swipe that in order to replace them, that's a warning sign. Lights are flashing. We're not preparing ahead of time for things that we know are going to happen, right? If anytime that you want to go on that family vacation, if we've got to jump into taking a loan out of that 401k in order to do it, that's a warning sign. It's a flashing light. We are not preparing ahead of time, right? I heard a funny thing once, and somebody was kind of making a joke at somebody else talking about finances, and they said, Christmas is on the 25th this year, right? If we're going into debt to meet those, that's a warning sign. We've got
Yeah.
to prepare for some of these. It's all ties back to kind of what I mentioned earlier, that Eisenhower matrix. We've got to try our best to keep our life, especially our finances, in the important but not urgent category. You've got to prep for this stuff ahead of time. So I mentioned this the other day. I was chatting with somebody. I've got 3 little kids right now. I've got an 8-year-old boy. He's in 2nd grade. 5-year-old little girl. She's in K5. I got a 2-year-old little boy, and he is an animal, right? He's wild out there. The other day he was riding his scooter, and he's facing one direction. Scooter going he's looking at me, but the scooter's going straight. It was a whole thing. So here's what I said. Well, I went out of my way recently. Everyone's fine, everyone's healthy, everyone's happy. I went out of my way recently and bought accident insurance. Well, why did I do it? I don't have to have it. It's not required. I gotta come up with a little extra money out of my own pocket, out of my budget to buy this. But why did I do it? I said, well, I want to stay in front of it. I said, if I'm going to have a broken arm or a broken leg, when am I getting it? Well, I'm getting it from my son's 8. I'm getting it from 8 to 12 is when I'm getting it. And I don't know when it's coming, but I probably can. And again, I don't know that it's coming, but I probably can say with a pretty high confidence on a son who does jujitsu, who plays soccer, who wants to go to basketball camp this summer. Like, I'm probably getting it here coming up. And so if I'm going to have that happen to me, I want to be as prepared as I can. And yeah, maybe it doesn't happen and I end up wasting $50 a month for a couple years, but I'd rather have that reality than to get the bill from the hospital. You guys have seen those bills that are so expensive I can't prepare for it. The cool thing in bringing that up with long-term care is the money that's paid to that actually doesn't go wasted. And we didn't even talk about that, Jeremiah. If you don't end up needing the long-term care insurance, it'll actually pay out like life insurance would to your beneficiaries. It'll pay out like a death benefit. And so you actually never end up actually losing the money. You either use it for the long-term care services or your family gets it after you're gone. And I think that's amazing because then you don't have to feel like I would feel a few years down the road here if I bought the accident insurance and never ended up using it. I'd go stink. And, I wasted $1,000, right? right?
I don't
But
think it's a waste. I think it's peace
yeah,
of mind, very
It is peace of mind.
definitely.
There's something to be said about that, Denise. You're right on because peace of mind does help me sleep better.
Yep.
And if I know that I'm covered and taken care of in certain areas, it just makes it easier. There's two other stories that come to mind in this category, but I'll say one. I just remembered this week I was in the sauna at the gym. I got a new membership at the gym by my house, the Y, right? That's obviously a national and international brand. So I joined the Y. I'm sitting in the sauna. There's got to be 6 people in there. And as I go in there to sweat to the oldies and to be by myself and close my eyes and see if I can stand there longer than 10 minutes, I walk in and I say, oh no, someone who knows me and recognizes me is in the sauna. And her name is Megan. And she's been to our office, a good friend of ours. She's actually done contract work with us. So she knew that we were experts in this category, can really help people in this cash flow situation with long term care. She says, hey, man. I was like, oh, it's Megan. Hey, good to see you. Well, I was planning to go in here and sweat and be quiet. But she says, oh, by the way, look, my mother in law is going to have to move back in with us. She moved out a year ago and moved into a facility, but she's running out of money. So she's
Ouch.
going to have to move back in the house. And boy, she moved out because it was too stressful on me and the girls. So this is her husband's dad. I'm mom. I'm sorry. Yeah, her husband's mom. And she said she already moved out, but she's running out of money after 1 year. You heard the numbers, Denise. We saw them. She's moving back in. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, for me,
So she took a vacation
yeah,
in
she took a
essence.
vacation, right?
Yeah.
Played a little pickleball, hurt her knees, moving back in. And she said, look, for me and mine, they're right about 40 years old, this couple. She said, look, I'm calling you. We need long-term care insurance. I already know. Because we can't be doing that to our kids in 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know. We're healthy now. She's at the gym sweating with me. But see, it's just folks who, she's entrepreneurial. She's dealing with it as a sandwich generation person. And her oldest daughter might be 6, kind of like Jonah's. She already knows. Isn't that very interesting? But it's very similar to what Jonah said. I'm going to throw him under the bus again because it was so crazy. We decided to have our very first extended family financial reunion this past Thanksgiving. And Jonah's house was the hub in Greenville, South Carolina, where he and I both live. But we've got West Coast to all the way to West Germany. Okay, so not really West Germany anymore, but West Coast to West Germany here because mom and stepdad are military. And we decided to have a little powwow and reunion. Our grandparents are West Coast. We have a sister in Nevada, a sister in Sacramento. So all the way on the West Coast to the East Coast, sea to shining sea and overseas, protecting our affairs foreign and abroad right here with the military. So everybody's together in some capacity. Jonah's house is the hub. And Jonah starts to realize, because he's a thinker, a couple of years ago, that, you know what, grandma and grandpa are now in their 80s and they're likely to go before the rest of us. They live in California. We realize, you know what? I have 4 kids. He has 3. When grandma goes in Southern California, that's going to be quite the expense.
2 hours from the airport.
2 hours from the airport.
2 hours from the air. You got to fly in LAX. 2 hours from the airport.
There's one hotel in our little town, high desert, Southern California. Closest big city is going to be Bakersfield or Lancaster Palm.
Oh, Lordy. I know that area
You know
well.
that area. Okay. So
I
you know what
do.
we're talking about. These are real places. This is the real grandma and grandpa. We realize, they're both 84 this year. And we realize, you know what? That's going to be expensive. And we'd have to take off work. And, are kids coming or are they not coming? And we'd love for them to be a part of the family reunion, right? Shouldn't a funeral and a homegoing service be a family reunion where we have enough time to see the cousins and
Good.
people
Yeah.
and
If you're
clean
doing
up?
it properly, yeah.
Hey, have you
And
seen Grandpa's garage has got a lot in there. Yep. Who's going to
oh,
clean this
yeah.
out? And if we are not able to have that death benefit check because their long-term care has not been used, they're moving and grooving today. Or even just a traditional life insurance policy or an infinite banking style policy. If there's no check coming, we might have to watch the homegoing service on Zoom.
Oh, Lord.
Expensive.
During COVID, you had to do that. And I thought that was just inhumane.
Wasn't it?
Yes, it was awful.
Yeah. Very interesting. So there's so many patterns here that we can interrupt by actually preparing for it with a guaranteed product. We have a presentation and a webinar we love to share with groups and people. and our CRM list here when we're sharing people who get in contact with us at thebankingbros.com. And our presentation is called Guaranteed Income for Life. Guaranteed income for life. Well, if you want guarantees, you actually buy them through insurance. Pensions, annuities, insurance. These are the guarantees, and they're all gotten from insurance companies. If you want
Right.
guarantees, yeah, we don't think about it like that. We've all tried to speculate in the market and do things with qualified plans, but guarantees come from insurance companies. Well, we're going to get ahead of it and help people understand.
And and I've got 2 questions for you. I've been scribbling down like crazy. I have to keep move a cat off my pad, but I just shoved him out of the way. He hasn't bitten me yet. He's going to. He's got that look on his face. You mentioned the, infinite banking concept, and I know you were here once before and we talked about it. I really would like to have you both come back later in the year. I'm booking now for August, believe it or not. But I think that's a concept that people really need to know more about. So can I get you booked for later in the year?
We'd love to be back, and we'd love to help people understand this in between and with you. So we appreciate the ability. You're a great interviewer because you really let us, talk and maybe put our personality into it. But we do believe that if something has long-term effects, by definition, it's very important. And there's a lot of people who are not working in their important but not urgent stage and spending time having these conversations with real pros.
I believe you. And you've mentioned insurance multiple times, and I find, and I've done this myself, you just go with the cheapest policy. Not smart.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of factors here. So cheap normally means it's required and you don't think it'll happen. So when I go to find car insurance, if I'm broke or I'm cheap or I really don't think it's going to happen, I'm just looking, is it going to be the General, the Gecko, the Geico, Flo from Pro or Jake from State, Like I'm just like, who can I give the least amount of money to for the most coverage? But what Jonah discovered when we figured this out 8+ years ago was the riders, the options, the chassis means something. So we want to make sure we're building the right customized plan.
Yeah. It really depends on what type of insurance you're buying. If you're talking life insurance or long-term care, again, these things are actually going to happen. You don't actually know if you're getting hit by a hailstorm and damaging the car or getting into a car accident. You got to cross your fingers on those. But when we're talking about life insurance, specifically whole life, that's the one that'll protect you when it happens, right? So if that's the one that you're going for, I think that's the one you should consider. Term insurance a lot of times is less expensive, and the reason for that is because they're trying to make sure you buy a term where you don't pass away. That's why they're going to give it to you for an expensive because they don't actually have an intention of paying that, right? But whole life, like it's going to happen. At some point you're going to go. So as soon as you know that, it's no longer about can I pay the lowest number? How little will they take? It's making sure that it does what you need it to do when you actually need it. That's very similar to what I said with the accident insurance. When I bought that policy, thinking of my boys and how crazy and wild they are growing up and doing all their sports and fun stuff, I absolutely made sure I bought the coverage that said that organized sports and all other things like that were covered because that's what they do. If I would have just bought the cheapest one, I might have still run into a situation where I couldn't use it, or I disqualified myself, or I didn't have the right option on that thing. And so that's just a very important thing to consider. Yes, there are all sorts of insurances out there, but they are all different. And if you can insure yourself against something with a super high probability of happening, or like life insurance, where you know it's going to happen, it's no longer about how little does this cost. It's about making sure it does exactly what you need it to do.
Exactly. Let me go back to long-term care just very briefly because we are running out of time, and I'm excited you guys will come back. But what if a care situation suddenly arises in a family? They didn't see it coming. It just happened. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was sudden critical illness. What are some of the first financial decisions that people are forced to make?
When you don't have money for things that you need, you sell things that you needed.
Ah,
Yeah. You have to liquidate. Money is what pays for these things. So unfortunately, we've all been there. We realize that we either get into massive debt or we sell things we do need to try to cover the urgent, important expense issue. Emergencies are inevitable and they're going to happen. Statistically, every 3 to 4 months, you'll have an emergency. Everybody knows they're going to have some sort of emergency 5 to 8 to 10 times this year in 2026, 2027. 8 out of 10 of them cost money. The other 2 just hope and pray, go to church. I don't know. There's other types of emergencies.
Well, that helps too, but
That
it's
does
not
help too,
financial.
but 8 out of
Yeah,
10 need actual money. So if you
you
don't have
do.
money, you have to rely. I've mentioned this a couple times. Churches, charities, children, you need something. GoFundMe.com, right? And those things can be wonderful. We do want to have great networks of people. We do have platforms online, but these things shouldn't be happening. We should know for sure we will be having some emergencies. So when you have to liquidate long-term ideas that you've had, if you have to sell things that you need now, you don't have a solid enough foundation, right? We've got to make sure that we build that before it's necessary. And the people who seem like they are Debbie Downers and doomsday preppers in this particular case are the ones who are smart enough to know, look, I don't want to work past 65, 75, but healthcare.
Yeah, I don't want to be a Walmart greeter.
Yeah, or keeping people alive, actually.
Yeah,
Healthcare's keeping people
exactly.
alive for a long time, but yeah, hey, you don't have the income to pay for it anymore. So,
Gotcha. I have one last question. I thought I was done, but I wasn't. So, for families who are already caring for an aging parent, what are some financial strategies or adjustments they can still make to better manage the situation?
let them out the back door.
No.
No.
What? You
Oh,
sound
that's
like
what mom
me.
told us a long time ago. Mom said, "Look, just put me in a cardboard box and throw me in the back."
My mom
Because
said the same thing, and I
you
said,
right.
"Listen, cremate me and throw me in the tomato garden. That's all you
There
need
you
to do."
there you go. I'm not eating those tomatoes at your house.
Oh, come on, they're good.
Oh,
Lots of protein.
right. So, yeah, the things that we can do, there are going to be there. Obviously, insurance is the one thing you have to buy prior to needing it, right? Doesn't matter what type of
Gotcha.
that might be. It might be your phone insurance, but you can't flush your phone down in the toilet or step on it and then get the coverage. So we need to prepare for this in advance. If we have not done that, I would say very simply, this is not rocket science. My 11-year-old daughter would understand this is that we either have to increase our income or decrease our expenses because there has to be margin between those two things to be able to cover new expenses. So the easy thing to do in the Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman world is, hey, let's make sure that we cut down on our streaming accounts and get rid of our debt. That's limiting our expenses. It's actually better and more abundant type thinking in our office to go, how can we increase our income? Let's make ourselves more valuable in the marketplace to more people in different ways because we need our income to go up as prices rise, as the government prints money, as healthcare costs and taxes go up, or we get taxed on more things. We need to learn how to be more productive. We do have AI, the microchip, the computer. There are more ways to bring in income, even passively, that allow us to have more margin and gap between what we need to spend today and what we actually bring in.
Got it. Jeremiah, Jonah, this has been a powerful conversation. And before we wrap up, how can our audience best connect with you?
Yeah. So, what we're going to make sure that you've got, Denise, you can put our calendar link in the show notes of this podcast description if you'd like. But that's what we're requesting. What we offer to anyone who would like to is a personalized conversation. Now, these conversations are completely free. But what we want to do is we want to talk to you because we can't help you get where you need to go without knowing where you are. And everybody's situation, everyone's family dynamic, everyone's cash flow is different. So we don't have any sort of cookie cutter go on the website and answer these 3 questions and it'll spit out exactly what you need type of service because we want to make sure that it is always custom to you. And like I mentioned before, those are complementary conversations. So what you should do is click the link in the description of this episode in the show notes. You can jump right on our calendars. We also promise that it'll be one of the 2 of us who are chatting with you. And we'll walk you through and talk you through your situation and make sure that you know where you're headed and how to get there the best way possible.
outside
I'll
of
put
that, of
it out
course,
on social media too.
yeah. On social media, you can find us at The Banking Bros. So whatever platforms you love, we're probably there. And thebankingbros.com is our website and hub where you can find more information about guaranteed income for life options, no matter who you are or where you are, and the options that you have before you run out of money and start selling off things you really need. So we are the Banking Bros at the Banking Bros. We'd love to chat with you soon. And our cash consultations, no matter where you are, if it's healthcare or it's the other types of guaranteed incomes and insurance that won't be taxed like infinite banking, we'll have those conversations with you whenever you're ready.
I'm looking forward to having you guys back. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. And we did cover a lot from why early long-term care planning is essential. Y'all write that down, essential to protecting family wealth, debunking common myths, and even thinking about the hidden resources beyond money that families need to manage care and life basically more effectively. So for anyone listening, the biggest takeaway is this: planning ahead isn't just about money. It's about control, peace of mind, and protecting your family's future. Thank you guys. And you already told them where to find you. Go to thebankingbros.com and you can find them all over social media. So thank you for tuning in to your partner in Success Radio. I am Denise Griffitts. And remember, success isn't something you chase. It's something you build one smart decision at a time. Thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.